Okay, don't get me wrong. I understand that everyone's talking about the post-Abreu Astros. It feels a lot more like the post-White Sox video Astros. No, yeah, I agree. How did we, the protagonists of reality, affect this? Hi, I'm Weston. I love talking about the Astros, and I'm here to talk about games 81, 82, and 83, or, in other words, the Mets series. And as you can clearly tell, the voice isn't fully back yet, which is why I'm doing this all in one shot. And honestly, I am very happy that I get to do it in one shot because so much of this series deserves to be looked at in broad strokes rather than under a microscope. Because this series is indicative of the entire season for the Houston Astros. And more so, it's a validation for Astros fans as to why we've been in such a bad mood for the first, give or take 50 games of the season. This series is why. Granted, the previous little stretch of, fantastic baseball that they're on is another valid reason. The fact that they're 9-1 over their last 10 games. The fact that their lone loss was in this series. The fact that since they got, their doors kicked in. I don't even know if 2-0 with no RBI hit his doors kicked in, but it felt like it, good lord, against the White Sox. Since then, they've been nearly perfect. And that's not hyperbole, but genuinely, they have been unreal. They win the final two games of the White Sox series, they sweep the Orioles, they sweep the Rockies, they take 2 of 3 against the Mets. In New York, and these are the grimmest Mets, might I remind you, which means they're good. And the reason I say this deserves to be painted in broad strokes, it's as if the game against the White Sox was the moment in the locker room where everyone just kind of sat there and went, the White Sox, man, actually. And then realized they should probably sit up in their gaming chair and try a little bit harder because the little brother is actually beating the absolute garbage out of them. We were upset as a fan base this season because we knew they could be good. Yeah, there's a lot of question marks. The pitching's pretty injured. I'm not going to deny you that. First base was a big question. But this was still a good team at its bones. It is the equivalent of a house with good structure. It's got great foundation, man. Like the Altuve living room, the Kyle Tucker kitchen, the Alex Bregman bathroom, but not like the little half bath, like the actual nice master bathroom. You had Pena, who probably was the half bath, but by God, it is a really nice half bath. They had Chas McCormick, which is just, I can't even put into words how beautiful that part of it is. They had a good team. They had good structure. They had good foundation. You look around, among the position players, you had Altuve, who is the perennial all-star, Pena, who is fantastic, Bregman, debatably an occasional all-star, Yanner Diaz, who was finally about to have his breakout moment, and then when he was given the opportunity, he did. First base was a crapshoot between Abreu, Singleton, who honestly is actually just pretty okay at baseball. I'm very happy with John Singleton, and the Swiss Army knife known as Mauricio Dubon. And then you look to the outfield, where their biggest problem is they don't have 7 spots for outfielders. You had Tucker, who's been good this season, granted, the injury. McCormick, who has honestly been good. He's been fine enough that he doesn't deserve to not start every game. It's just that he hasn't earned it over the other guys because everybody else has been great. Trey Cabbage has looked really good. Joey Leperfido has looked really good. Jake Myers is the Jake Myers that we've been promised for years upon years upon years upon years. Those were all set in stone. They had good players. The pitching staff was a question, but they've had problems with the pitching for forever. We thought going into the season, hey, it's not going to be that bad. They always find ways around it. And recently they have, certainly. The reason we got so mad, the reason we as a fan base were so pressed early in the season, is because it was like the previous seasons where they just weren't caring enough on steroids. The 7-19 start, and I cannot stop saying it because holy God, it was awful. On pace to be historically miserable, was unacceptable. And they slowly started to figure it out. And this series, and really this stretch of 10 games, is the validation that Astros fans were like, I told you, I knew it was there. Because we knew. We weren't this mad because we knew we were rooting for a bad baseball team. We weren't this mad because we were rooting for a team we thought was going to be good but turned out was bad. We were upset because we were rooting for a team that is genuinely good and just didn't want to win baseball games as bad as other teams wanted to win baseball games. Or were so mentally checked out they couldn't. Now, they've checked in. And go figure, they've looked really, really good. I was using the mark of after Game 26, they've actually been pretty alright. Which is still true. And recently, past month, they've been excellent. Like one of the best teams in baseball. And this series is a microcosm. Yeah, you lose the first game. You're not going to win every single game. Who cares? You move on with life. Second game, big comeback. You're down 6-4 or 6-3. Pardon me. It was 6-4. I know how to do math. And you have the big runs late. You come back. You win it 9-6. Great. Today's game, you have the lead. You give it up. Keep it competitive in extras. Bang. 5-run inning. Who is producing? Well, you have some of the normal suspects for the series. You have Altuve getting a couple of big hits in the series. Got ejected today. That was stupid. My thoughts are much like everybody else. Huh? And there's not much more other than that. Because, Bregman had some nice moments in the series. Yainer Diaz was a monster. I want to say he had like 8 or 9 hits in the series. Something crazy. He was fantastic. Again, normal suspect. Bregman with a couple of big hits. Normal suspect. Yordan Alvarez. Normal suspect. Where you get it is today. With Joey Loperfido having some big moments. Obviously in extra innings. John Singleton in extra innings. Trey Cabbage in extra innings? It's those guys. It's the fact that today, it's a total bullpen day. You had pitchers going. Sean Dubbin pitched multiple innings in this game as the opener, starter, whatever you want to call it. 3 1/3 of shutout ball, which is just dumb, but good for him. You get a big couple of outs from Brian King. Yeah, the good part of the pen isn't great. You have Abreu giving up a couple of earned runs. But Seth Martinez didn't, because Seth Martinez never hurt anybody. Love me some Seth Martinez, baby. Taylor Scott got the win, by the way, today, which is just unironically probably the best pitcher on this team. Unironically. It's kind of dumb. Picked up a strikeout as well. These are the games, and I've said this before, and you've heard it before, and you're probably sick of it from before. These are the games that the good Astros just kind of always magically found a way to win. And you could call that overachieving. I call it figuring out how to win the games you shouldn't. There are so many games in a baseball season. You have to be skilled to win the dumb magical games. That is a part of it. Baseball is the hardest sport to predict because there are so many games and because half of it is magic beans, but you have to count those magic beans better than everybody else can count the magic beans. That is a legitimate part of the equation, and I'm barely joking when I say that. And now the Astros find themselves leaving a series where they faced off against the white-hot team, the story of Major League Baseball, the New York Mets, and now have taken the mantle. Now the Astros are the white-hot team of baseball. They've won 9 of their last 10. Now they're the ones that are surging rapidly after being left for dead and well under 500. They have taken this claim of story of baseball right now. Because all of a sudden, a team that many, including the fan base, and I'm probably included in that, I didn't think they had the mental fortitude with this group, and I'm not talking about the core players, I'm talking about this group as a whole. I wasn't sure that they had the mental fortitude to battle back. But as they are, as they always were, and as they seemingly always will be, they did, and they've surged back. They're 3.5 games out of a division lead and a wild card spot. Ironically enough, the third wild card of the Mariners shared the same record. So they're 3.5 games back of both. It's no longer if you have a really good month. It's no longer if you have a good 2-week span. It's no longer if you have a really, really good week. If you have a good couple of days, if you have a good series, especially if you have a good week, you could be back in the driver's seat and back borderline in control of your own destiny. And I understand that Game 83 is way too early to be talking about controlling your own destiny, but for a team that seemingly was just out of it, I am in somewhat shock and awe. Because seemingly 10 days ago, I was here writing a funeral for this team, shredding them to pieces. And now, they are a couple of days, a couple of good games, a hot week, out of hosting a playoff series. Leave it to them. Might I make a request to the Houston Astros from the bottom of my heart? I can tell that you guys think it's very interesting to every single season, see how late you can start being good and still win the division. That's great. That's really funny for you, and I'm sure that there are many laughs being had. Please stop. I can't take this anymore. Just be good out of the gate. I'm begging you. Like, game 1 of the regular season. Just be good. Astros will kick off a series against the Toronto Blue Jays tomorrow afternoon. 3:07 start time on a Monday. Love you too, Major League Baseball. 2:07 Central. The Astros are going to send Hunter Brown to the mound, and the Toronto Blue Jays are going to send Yariel Rodriguez to the mound. I will be here afterwards to talk about it, but as for right now, that is all I have to say. If you enjoyed the video, please consider to like and subscribe. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day, and as always, go Astros.